More than 10 million children across East Africa are suffering from malnutrition, and more than 300,000 people are at risk of dying from hunger. That's according to a new report. Now, the study was commissioned by the regional bloc, the IGAD, and has warned that the food crisis would get worse if, as feared, rains fail for a fifth year running. East Africa is experiencing its longest dry spell in 40 years. The BBC's Victor Muyakane has been to Kenya's Turkana County, one of the areas hardest hit by this drought.
Turkana County in early September, a stark, sun-baked and scorching landscape. The Lodwar County Referral Hospital in Turkana County. This section in one corner of the facility housing a small team of healthcare professionals that cater exclusively to victims and survivors of a hidden part of the drought crisis, sexual and gender-based violence. Here, the victims and their rescuers both point a finger of blame to a common enemy, drought.
I'm an orphan. One day, 2 men pounced on me and raped me. It was because I needed food and protection. I became stressed. Why did they do this to me? My life is very hard now. I get therapy here at the wellness center to help me with depression.
In another section is a sparsely equipped room. It's the stabilization center for children drawn from the far corners of Turkana County. Children who are on the brink of death from unbelievably severe malnutrition and a cocktail of diseases associated with poor food, water and sanitation.
My daughter was very ill, that's why we were brought here. She had swellings all over and her skin was rough and peeling. She was very thin. Doctors say it is malnutrition, that I am not feeding her well.
Here, under this tree, just like in a few places across this land, is where life-saving screening happens. Aid workers here say that sometimes the difference between life and death for these children is just a few hours. Mohammed Fall, UNICEF Regional Director, believes that we are fast approaching the brink of no return.
We are seeing the global and acute malnutrition, which is the combination of severe and acute malnutrition and moderate malnutrition, reaching 15% of the children, which is almost 3 times higher than what the threshold for emergency situation is.
When you live in a place like this, in Loyoro, where hunger and thirst and drought and famine are your regular companions, and when your biggest priorities in life are your children and your livestock, and when you find a limited and scarce resource like this little waterhole in this wilderness, then the juggle of priorities becomes very serious indeed. Northern Kenya and the Horn of Africa region is prone to frequent droughts, but something is different about the drought this time. It is harsher than before, has lasted longer than before, and the time between one crisis and the next is shorter than ever before.